cameras following me, don't matter. You will have your day of being held accountable in this realm for the things that you do.
No one that beat me though, because you simply said that it was consensual, and then
I was explaining. All right, so let's start. This is a morning when those kind of fine points need to be understood. The evidence from the lady was that both herself and Mr. Trump were in a store, and they were having a flirtatious exchange and very playful. And the exchange had to do with trying on some lingerie, and whether who was to try it on or both to try it on, whatever the case might be, they were having a flirtatious exchange in a private spot in a public place, the changing room of a department store.
Okay.
And whilst there, perhaps she started to listen. We don't need to go into the evidence. The fact is, she was there with him consensually.
Okay.
Matters of an intimate sort arose.
Mm-hmm.
It went farther than her comfort level and perhaps her protestation. It got rough.
It went south.
Yes. The jury did not accept that a rape had occurred. So whatever transpired between them, the jury didn't believe it was rape. But they accepted that a sexual assault occurred. And then afterwards, Mr. Trump, when she made a complaint, Mr. Trump then disparaged her and said the kinds of things about her, which was accepted as defamatory.
Okay.
In her evidence,
mm-hmm.
she brought two witnesses to whom she had made the complaint and made a report contemporaneously to the event. So Mr. Trump's statements that she had manufactured it and it was to, disturb his political ambitions and so on and so forth. Those statements were discredited and accepted as defamatory of the woman. She did in fact speak truth. She had always been speaking the truth on the matter because her two witnesses came to say shortly after it happened, and it happened years ago in the 90s, I think. Yes, to say she had told them about it. But if you notice, it is a civil liability, which I guess is the more important one for the complainant, because you want to be compensated for your hurt and damage, and you want the person to pay. I don't know that she didn't. No one arrested Mr. Trump for what happened to her. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But he was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation. And yes, one report says she would get more than $2 million. Another report said she was awarded $5 million.
Okay, it's kind of.
Mr. Trump didn't even show up in court for the verdict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. So you know what I know say to people when people go and say things. We always say, if you never there, your name would not have been called. If you were not present, your name would not have been called. And there's something
no smoke, no fire.
Yeah, I said to the young men, don't even bother. You flee the very appearance of evil.
Yes, yeah.
See, don't go down. Them say, sir, how far? I said, no. Just flee the very appearance of evil, which is the instruction of Scripture to us. But this morning, Happy Teachers' Day. Happy Teachers' Day. Happy Teachers' Day to all of our teachers, those who have impacted us in a very significant way. And as you have said in Ephesians, we must pay honor.
Those who are taught must share in all good things with the one who teaches.
Yes, and that is so very important. Our focus, we are marching towards Mother's Day on Sunday. I wonder what the producer and the family will do and what surprises in store for you on Mother's Day. But we have been having significant discussion, myself.
Secret discussions in the house.
Yes, as to what we will do, and I'm hearing all of these things, and I say, you gonna pay for that, because remember I have two adult children.
Yes, and it's Mother's Day.
It's
not Wife Day. You're making that distinction. Mother's Day, not Wife Day. You have your own mother.
Yes, I understand. So, but and I just greet the mother of my children this morning. That's Michelle Elaine. I greet you as my co-host of Mother of Daniel. Even as we march on. But I greet the teachers today who have impacted us significantly. Do you have a teacher that you remember well, either from primary school or from high school or from university? Because even at university, you have teachers,
I remember Miss Thomas. She was in grade 2, I think.
Wow.
I remember Mrs. Young, but I don't think Mrs. Young didn't teach me because I skipped grade 5. Where'd it go? I skipped like two grades in primary school.
So she was bright like morning star. That's what we. So she was a maths brain. No, you weren't a maths brain from primary school. Because the maths was not in.
No, primary school math. Oh, come on. Primary school math was okay.
Hello, please.
I fell out of love with math in high school.
No, sir.
Do you know, from my high school, I remember Mrs. Allen. She taught Spanish.
Okay.
And I liked history. The lady who taught history, I'm looking at her now, but I don't remember her name, which is... and I remember Miss Wint who taught literature. I loved the literature.
Oh, geez, you would remember those persons, yes.
I don't remember the person who taught. I don't remember her name, but I remember the person who taught religious education because she was also the librarian.
Okay, so.
I always remember Mrs. Harrison, Pamela Harrison, who at the time I didn't know she come from town. She then went back to town. She was the high school. She was the principal, headmistress.
At your school?
Yeah, at St. Hilda's.
And she was also at
Woolmer's.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know, I remember when I first started high school, the principal was a deaconess because my high school is an Anglican school.
Yes.
And the principal was a deaconess. I don't remember deaconess what, but for the first year of high school, she wore her wimple and her deaconess robe and walked to the halls. It was a white woman, actually.
Okay, because then in our time, they were still very much present.
In our time.
Yes, in our time, in high school and primary.
Brownstown Community College, I remember Mr. Walsh. I remember Norma Walters. I think she passed away in the last few years. And I'm looking at the other very eccentric lady who was an artist.
Okay.
I still remember her name. She had an interesting French name. I remember her more because of her
eccentricity.
She went to St. Hilda's too, She was St. Hilda's past student from way back.
Wow.
It's the famous Jamaican artist.
Okay.
And she from Brownstown. Her name will come back to me. And of course, I remember Martin Henry. Martin Henry lectured at Brownstown Community College for a spell.
He was a good guy.
Excellent guy.
Excellent.
And you cannot forget Mr. Burchell Whiteman, who was the principal
of
Brownstown Community College before he went into politics.
He was an excellent educator. He was excellent.
And his wife taught. His wife, Whiteman. No, she didn't teach. I'm mixing her up with. There was another. There's an English woman who taught history.
Yeah. I think
I'm looking at her now. She wore hair in a very high. I don't know. She might have been a short lady, but her hair was like Marge Simpson. A high. A bun is not the word for that. History. So I do remember more teachers than I thought I would.
Oh, that's significant. Yeah. I remember Mrs. March. She's now deceased. Those of us who went to St. Catherine Primary School. That was my primary school. And
so she was your teacher or the principal?
No, she was my grade 5.
Okay.
She was my grade 5 because then you could do
common
entrance in grade 5 or 6. You got 2 or 3 chances dependent on your age.
But you aced it on your first.
Yeah, I loved her. That's so much so her impact on my life was so significant that after I was married and she was still alive and I had my children, I took my children to to meet my
Your teacher said, "Look,
primary
teacher."
my primary school teacher.
I
So
multiplied.
you understand, but it's significant that Miss Henry, who is and Miss Facey. I remember Miss Facey in grade 2, Mrs. Facey, because she had a whole lot of children. Because she
Meaning
was
her own children?
yes, man. She was a practicing Catholic. And so she never.
What does that mean?
No, they never. No, remember they don't. They
All right,
already met her in terms of. So she had a whole lot. I remember that was so significant.
Oh dear Lord!
I think she had about 10 children, something like that. Yeah, but it was significant.
But not all practicing Catholics have 10 children. So there must be something else about the lady and the man of the hour.
But I remember, and then when I went to high school, they were good teachers. And even in high school, Mr. Barrett, who was my form teacher in grade 8, I remember him. And there were a lot like Mrs. Robinson.
What makes a teacher memorable for you? Because I'm looking back now and I think there are some teachers that I remember, but they didn't teach me. Yet I remember them. So what makes a teacher memorable for you?
Just their impact on your life. I remember.
No, but that comes after.
Yeah, but
when they are cementing themselves into your heart, you don't know the impact on your life yet. That's yet to come. So looking back, what makes a teacher memorable? You know, I know what does it for me when I look back and I see that I'm remembering teachers who didn't actually teach me.
Wow.
It all comes down to their relationship with the students, with the children.
That's what it was, because he was my form teacher and would interact with him, but he also taught us English language and English literature. But I remember teachers that I never interacted with, like Miss Rose. She was short. She was a math teacher, but she never taught us math.
Yeah, but you remember her why? You saw her moving around campus and other children talk about them.
And I remember one of the regrets I have from high school is that I never pursued a second language, meaning did Spanish or French in high school.
It's not too late.
I know, but out of that experience, I have encouraged my children. And
how many of them paid you any attention?
All of them. One of them did both languages. He did French and Spanish. And CSEC.
Okay.
Did very well. He has a flair for languages, even though he's a technical person.
Well, the language of technology has its own merits, you know.
No, but he's learning Korean and Japanese on the side.
So he loves language. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But today, as we focus on our teachers and their impact on our lives and what they've done, we salute our teachers. And today, there's a lady.
May I say some happy birthdays before you?
Go ahead.
Yeah? Because this is, Lowell and I have family members, like at least 3 family members that share the same birthday.
Are you kidding me? Today?
Mm-hmm. Not today, different. Like his sister and one of my sisters, 30th of December.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And his sister, Lois, joy to the world, is celebrating her birthday today, 10th of May. And so is my niece, Lois.
Yes.
So they not only have these two, not only have the same name, but they have the same birthday.
Yes, that's interesting.
So Lois, whom you met in Philadelphia, is celebrating her birthday today. And Lois in Jamaica, who is Lowell's sister,
big sister,
is celebrating her birthday today.
She just conking him in the head. So you must behave yourself.
Well, I think he was taller than her by the time she had the idea to conk him in his head.
Big sisters are always wonderful.
But we do want to say a very happy birthday. But we have to do it now based on seniority, because anything else would not make sense. So Lois Joy Lawrence, she is senior to my Lois. So we start with Sister Joy. Lowell, are you coming online to add in the... You don't want to cry because you love her so much. But I just want to extend the heartiest and the most fulsome greetings to our sister who is celebrating the anniversary of her birth. May you live long and prosper. That sounds like a Star Trek greeting, but it works very well. Live long and prosper, and just know that you are greatly loved. Your name is appropriately coined. Her pet name is Joy.
She's joyful.
She is, and yes, she's a very nurturing, loving woman. I'm not advertising her. She worked in the healthcare industry, so
Yeah.
she's a nurse's aide. We wish you all the best, Miss Joy, and we do hope that we see you later, meaning in the next few days. So
Okay.
we can give you a hug and a kiss. Have a wonderful birthday. This is from Minette and Lowell and Danielle.
And Percival.
And from Percival. And then now, in Philadelphia, United States of America, Prophetess Lois is having a birthday as well. She was in Jamaica with us
Yeah, man.
for a good chunk of time
Yes,
throughout
man.
the COVID, which was wonderful to get to know her. I told you that my father had 5 big children before he met my mom.
And the small children and their mother.
And then,
That's what that's called.
and then what?
The small children and their mother. So you had
The small
big,
ones?
The small children. So you are the small children.
No, actually, in terms of number, he had 7 kids with my mom, 7 children. So there are more of us. He had perfected his art in his bachelor days. And when he got married, 7 children. Lois, my niece, is the daughter of my eldest sister. So, we're close in age. But she's my niece and she calls me Auntie Minette. And it is hilarious because all of her friends also say Auntie Minette. So,
Okay. So
so we have a bevy of grown ladies
of nieces.
saying Auntie Minette, but she's wonderful. She's smart. She's prophetic. She's one of the most loving persons that you will meet, and I do hope that the Lord continues to bless her and that she will have a glorious day surrounded by her children and those who love her. She's also in kind of like healthcare, but more on the education side of addressing the needs of those special children who require something different.
Yeah.
That's so she's in that space as well as she's in ministry.
Okay.
So bless you, niece Lois and sister Lois, on your birthday. We have a friend who died last year.
And celebrating their birthday.
Her birthday today as well. And, we just say a prayer in memory of our dear, dear friend Elaine.
And her family.
Our family. Family still grieving her daughter in the U.S. Jana, we have to give Jana a call later. Lowell, please, let's remember.
But even as we are celebrating our teachers today, it's kind of significant that a significant portion, like 90% of our teaching are women. So today I want to just quickly.
You can't have a portion of women. Your teacher who taught you English would shudder in her grave. Did I hear Percival portioning women?
A significant number. Of our
there you go
of our teachers are
the
females.
Staff,
yes,
females.
And so after the children of Israel had moved into the promised land and Joshua had died, and those who were with Joshua, the elders, they passed on. What happened is that the children went into apostasy, meaning that they forgot everything, and everything that God had spoken to them about in Deuteronomy at the end of it with Moses, and said, we're going to do what we need to do. And so it begins, and everybody was doing what was right in their own eyes. And so what the Lord did, he raised up judges. And it's significant that he caused to arise at this point in time a woman. Her name was Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lipitot, was judging Israel at that time. She used to sit and hear, and from primary school days and even in high school, the more mature teachers were and more years of practice in teaching, they were the wiser ones. And that is why, for me, it is so significant that, as it was pointed out last week, Thursday, and even as we continue this week, we cannot allow for those who are senior in the profession